Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Energy News Beat Podcast Daily Stand Up. My name's Stu Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group. Michael's out on assignment on customer sites, making money. We gotta love it. Today is February 12th. Holy smokes, Batman. Let's go through the stories. How has green energy policies impacted the environment, society, and our financial systems? DOGE found the Inflation Reduction Act was funding change. That'll be a fun one. Trump administration halts billions in funding for Biden's troubled EV charging network. Holy smokes, Batman. Russia says sanctions shouldn't hinder oil trade with India. Sanctions don't work as intended, and quite honestly, there's a lot to this story. BP teases fundamental reset of strategic to boost returns and cash. I almost said the George W. Bush strategery joke there off of Saturday Night Live. So that tells you how old I am right now. And then you have the UK and US fail to sign Paris AI Declaration. This is not a bad thing because there's a lot going on around the world, and signing anything out of Paris is not healthy for your financial environment. So let's go to the first story. How has green energy policies impacted the environment, society, and our financial systems? DOGE found out that the Inflation Reduction Act was funding the change. This is a very interesting story that I wrote. I used Grok to come up with some numbers after finding a very good post from our Senate. This is from Josh Dunlap on X. $50,000 in unaudited U.S. taxpayer money in 1 month alone went to a pro-terrorist group disguised as a climate change organization. The group was called Climate Justice Alliance. So they went to the website and saw the bulldozer that went through the fence when Hamas attacked Israel. They have other renderings of the decolonized Palestine with the same bulldozer. If you go through more of it, you can see that they were also defunding the police. So when we talk about the millions and millions of dollars right now, as of the time this was filmed, DOGE was saying $63.39 billion has been saved by DOGE. But I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg when you start taking a look at what they are doing. This article really goes through and tries to show that the Inflation Reduction Act, and as Dan Bongino has always called it, the Porculus Bill, has funneled the money through into the EPA and into other organizations. So it's about a 4-step process into graft and greed and corruption. And then you take a look at how much money has been spent. It is just amazing. So I took a look also at some energy numbers. And so when you take a look at the energy numbers, wind energy investments in 2024, the exact figures aren't specified as part of a large investment, but they're thinking it's around $1 trillion. But when you take a look at solar investment in 2024, exceeded 500 billion. And what Michael and I have been talking about, we've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, and we've seen the more money that is spent in quote unquote renewable energy, it is not renewable and it is not sustainable. The more money spent in the category of wind, solar, and hydrogen means that more fossil fuels will be used. So it is neither good nor for the environment, nor is it fiscally stable. So I also took a look at higher energy prices. So when you take a look at higher energy prices, Texas has half the cost of the energy for New York and California. And you take a look at that as a simple fact, but take a look at Germany. Germany is totally deindustrializing right now, and so is the UK. The UK and Germany are in full onboard meltdown for deindustrialization from bad energy policies. So, anyway, this was a fun article to write and lots of good stuff in there. Let's go to the next story. Trump administration halts billions in funding for Biden's troubled EV charging network. I'll tell you what, you can't buy this kind of corruption in entertainment. The Trump administration announced Thursday that it's halting the funding for the build out of a Biden area electrical charger program. They also said that the EG had allocated a staggering $5 billion in funding. It's just amazing to me. This is out of the Daily Caller. On the campaign trail, President Trump promised to revolutionize the U.S. auto industry and vowing to repeal Biden's EV policies, calling them insane. I love the ideas of being able to say, if you want an EV, great, go buy one. But when you have Ford losing an estimated $60,000 per unit sold, they are neither good for the environment nor are they fiscally sustainable. So let's go to the next story here. Russia says sanctions shouldn't hinder oil trade with India. Before I get into this article, let's also take a look at the fact that Russia ended up their 2024 with a 4.1% increase in their GDP, I believe, and somewhere around in there, and that they have increased their energy output exports very nicely. And that's even without natural gas going through the Nord Stream. But yet Europe is still buying lots of Russian LNG. And the Turk Stream pipeline coming underneath the Baltic is absolutely stuffed. They're selling everything they possibly can. This article is talking about U.S. sanctions against Russian oil exports and trade should not hinder Russian energy trade with India. Russia's first deputy energy, and I apologize, I sure hope I don't butcher your name, Pavel Sorkin said on Tuesday. Indian refiners are scrambling for alternatives after the U.S. sanctions designated hundreds of tankers as well as oil traders last month. Our relationship with India is based on economic pragmatism, said Sorkin, carried by Reuters. It's too early to assess the impact of U.S. sanctions on the U.S.-India oil trade, the Russian official said. I think it's going to be fine. I personally think that if President Trump can get the correct information for ending the Russia-Ukraine war, there won't be any sanctions on Russian oil long term, in my opinion. But right now, I just interviewed George McMillan again, and that podcast is releasing tomorrow morning. We've made some recommendations for President Trump's team on how to end the Ukraine war, and it's kind of interesting. I don't see that the war could go on for very long, but George McMillan has been very upfront saying if President Putin does nothing, he can go ahead and go about his business and will continue growing the Russian economy. And meanwhile, the EU will fail, NATO will fail, Germany is failing. And so you sit back and take a look. Why would he want to go to the negotiation table? General Kellogg does not have all the information he needs. So with that, let me take a moment to thank our sponsor. Our sponsor for today's show is Reese Consulting. If you are a energy, natural gas supplier in the United States, I would contact Reese Consulting. Their ads are on energynewsbeat.co. Go to their website, check them out. They have audited the most natural gas in the United States out of any other firm, and they know what they're doing. You want to talk about natural gas? You want to talk about energy security? Reese Consulting is the team for you to get in touch with. So let's roll to the next one here. BP teases a fundamental reset of strategic to boost returns and cash. You can't buy this kind of entertainment. BP on Tuesday pledged to fundamentally reset its strategic strategy as it booked, there I am with that Bush strategy again, as it booked its lowest annual quarterly profits in years and seeks to push up its stock performance and regain investor trust. Quote, building on the actions taken in the last 12 months, we now plan to fundamentally reset our strategy and drive further improvements into performance in all services, growing cash flow and returns. BP's chief executive, Murray Auchincloss, said in a statement as the UK-based super major reported its fourth quarter and full year 2024 results. BP's leadership will communicate its new strategy, which will be a direction for BP at Capital Markets Update on February 26th. And they're going to be more along the lines of what the U.S. oil majors have done, and that is sticking closer to their roots of providing oil and gas. The more money that is invested into wind and solar and hydrogen, the more fossil fuels we will use, the more natural gas, the more oil, and the more coal. It is not a formula. Renewable energy is not renewable. I hate to tell you this, but investments just don't happen that way. And we're going to see a lot of the subsidies around the world for renewable, quote unquote, renewable energy are going away. Our last story for today kind of goes along the same line, and that is the UK and US failed to sign the Paris AI Declaration. I don't want to have absolutely anything to do with signing anything of the Paris Accords or anything else in that kind of time period or the AI. AI is dangerous, and I think that we need to really consider not committing to other people's leadership in AI. I trust President Trump. I trust Elon. There are many others in the AI space I do not trust. So I think we need to buckle up and get after it. And I think that we should be watching for those things. So with that, like, subscribe, go check out Reese Consulting, and we have lots more information coming out. So have a great day. Talk to you all soon.